Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jocks of All Trades podcast. It is Wednesday, which means we are doing Armchair GMs, the show that will bring you to a fantasy championship in your league. Hopefully, won't guarantee anything, but we're pretty solid on things that we know. That being said, let us go ahead and jump right into Jocks grades for the week. Kyle, who's our A?
Our A and our B actually are two guys that have kind of disappointed us, I think. Our A, Patrick Mahomes, 46 points. No more disappointment from him. He put up 5 touchdowns this week. Really good to see that from him. He kind of was just chucking it up, but, Kelsey came down with it. His running back came down with it. That was a great play if you wanted to watch that. So 46 points. I'm sure he definitely won. He probably carried your team if you had him. So that was good to see from Patrick Mahomes, 46.24 points. And our B, Stephon Diggs, fantasy-wise, he was just kind of he was meh. Like, from where he was drafted, I drafted him pretty early. What his ADP was around the second, third round. That's where I drafted him. And he's just been kind of, average. But breaks out in a big way, 30.2 points. Diggs owners are probably ecstatic about that. I know I am. And then hopefully he continues to put up around 20 a game. That would really help whoever had him. Brad, I'm sure you like our C. Who is our C for this week?
I will get to that. What's up, KDC Bull? Thanks for hanging, man. You were like always here. Our C is my man Mark Ingram. Listen, Kamara was hurt, and they went next man up, and I really didn't expect them to do what they did next man up. But Mark Ingram had a solid 20.80 points. That's pretty tasty if you're picking up a backup and they're dropping those kind of points. And, the last time he had that kind of success, he was in a Saints uniform. So it's kind of fitting that we're going right back to this. D, I was hot on him last year. I had him last year. I liked him a lot, and he had a big game. I called it last week. I told a friend of mine in our league, hey, pick up Ayuk, probably start him. And then this week, he just kind of fell apart and had 5.60 points. Granted, Deebo Samuel was like the best thing on that offense. Hard to explain. And then George Kittle was kind of the second option. So Ayuk is kind of like the third wheel kid, which sucks, but not surprising. And you know what, Kyle? I'm going to take F because every week, every single week, my F is somebody from my team. And this week it was TJ Hawkinson, who decided to just check out for the game. Like, I don't know what happened. Jared Goff is a trash can.
Yeah, that's
but oh yeah, that's painful. AJ Dillon, Montgomery.
Definitely AJ Dillon, and I love Saquon. If you've watched the show, love Saquon to death, but I don't trust him. So I'd put AJ Dillon and David Montgomery in there if I was you. Dillon, I mean, you might think, oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. He'll pass the ball a ton. They are still pretty reliant on the run. So they run the ball quite a bit. You can't go wrong with that. And then David Montgomery, who's his team? Baltimore, I think. Baltimore's got a tough defense, but again, they're not going to pass the ball a ton because Justin Fields is the quarterback, and they want to give the running back the ball so they don't have all the pressure on him. Montgomery's going to be used quite a bit. And, yeah, Hawkinson's killing everybody. That is
me too, buddy.
For sure.
Me too. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Sleeper Seekers for last week. Kyle, were these your guys?
These were my guys, yep. Okay. So Elijah Moore, I think most people saw this coming for a few weeks. Elijah Moore, 13.4 points. Not bad. Not a Stephon Diggs type game, but if he was your flex or if you're in your 12-team league, that's a solid number from him, 13.4 points. I would think he is startable going forwards. Next is Naeem Hines. He only had 4.9 points. Now, last week I did say not to start him, just pick him up. So he's just kind of a keep him on your bench kind of guy. Olamide Zacchaeus, I also told you not to start him. He had 4.2 points. That entire Falcons offense was just booty. So I don't know if you have any Falcons players. Kyle Pitts is still a really good play. Courtois starting to slow down a little bit. Ridley's nowhere to be found still. And also Russell Gage is kind of hit or miss. So the Falcons offense is kind of butt. Cole Kmet, he was on a bye this week. I did pick him up in my league. I think he's a decent start. I had Dallas Goddard, and he's questionable with concussion. So I'm picking up Cole Kmet to see what he's going to do this week. We'll let you know next week how he does. But I think he's due for a solid 10, 11 points. Lastly is Rashad Bateman, 14 points. That's a very good number for him. He's getting more and more acclimated with the Ravens offense. I'm pretty sure he's at some point going to be Lamar's favorite target. So the more he keeps doing this, the more he gets acclimated with the offense, the more Lamar trusts him. His points are going to keep going higher and higher and higher. And, I don't think he's ever going to be like a 30-point kind of game. But I think a realistic number for him per week is probably around 16 to 18. I think he could definitely get that. So, guys, last week. Yep.
Scarily enough, he might be the most consistent Ravens wide receiver.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Watkins is always hurt. Marquise Brown is boom or bust. That one game is good. Yeah, Andrews is always solid for them at tight end for sure. Marquise Brown, though, I think that 1 week he dropped like 3 touchdown passes. And it's not every week he does that, but he's a big play guy. And those deep threats kind of guy, unless your name is Tyreek Hill, who gets the ball like every freaking play, that's just going to happen for those deep threat guys. So Bateman for sure. He's going to run a lot of routes over the middle. Going to run a lot of posts and ends and just in the middle of the field. And I think that's when Lamar scrambles around, like he's going to look for Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews, I think. So,
I agree with that. So Kyle handled last week's. I am handling this week's sleeper seekers. I always hate sleeper seekers at the end of the year because it's at that point, unless you're actually competing and like going to be in the playoffs, it doesn't matter. That being said, though, my first one, KDC Bull, is AJ Dillon. Listen, Jones is likely going to be out. If Jones plays, it will be a miracle, and he'll be on a snap count anyways. He did drop 26.80 when he relieved Jones, and he's sitting at RB30 right now. Not great, not the best numbers ever, but I'm saying like not best in being RB30, but 26, that's pretty good. If I remember correctly, that was better than McCaffrey last week. So if you're worried that they're not going to run the ball with AJ Dillon, they drafted him pretty high for a reason. They're going to use him. They're going to use him a lot and often. Don't sleep on AJ Dillon. My second one, listen, we're still trying to make sense of like a Derrick Henry-less backfield for the Titans. I'm going to push my chips into the Donta Foreman pile. Listen, AP did get a lot of touches, but he wasn't necessarily efficient. Jeremy McNichols has kind of just been like I don't even know what to call him. He's just there. So that leaves Donta Foreman. He led the backfield with 11 touches, and he was the most useful out of the three of them. Do I think he's going to drop 15 to 20 points? No. Do I think I would start him this week? No. But when they get into that situation, look, the Titans are not scary in their pass game. They're not. You have A.J. Brown. List me anyone else on that team that's terrifying as a deep threat or even as a ball catcher. There's nobody. And that's the quick and truth answer to it. If Julio was healthy, maybe, but Julio hasn't even been all that even when he has been on the field. So you know that they're going to look to rush the ball quite a bit. No, you're not going to have a Derrick Henry 2 out of that backfield, but I feel like Donta Foreman is the best bet out of the three of them. Could be wrong. What do you think, man, before I move on?
No, I mean, it seems like he's the best bet going forward. He is a bigger back. AP's on his literally last legs. Like he doesn't have much going. McNichols, like I said before, I think last week, like he was never expected to be counted on. Donta Foreman though was like, I'm pretty sure he was like a third or fourth round pick. Like at one point when he was on the Texans, like a lot of people were like, they liked him and they thought he'd be a integral piece moving forward, but he got in trouble and stuff happened. So talent wise, like I think Foreman's probably the guy. Again, you just don't know if. I'd like to see what would happen if he had more than 11 touches. Like I'd like to see what would happen if he could get 20 carries a game. Because he is kind of a bruiser, and sometimes those bruisers they wear people down. So
Najee Harris.
Yeah, I'd like to see him with more touches. So.
Moving on, a wide receiver to kind of be looking out for. I'm not going to say that he's going to be the best one there. Kendrick Bourne. And I hesitate to say this, and I'll tell you why. He had 24 points against Cleveland. Awesome. That's terrific. Good for you. However, and he is looking like the best receiver in New England. Not a doubt. Here's the problem. His fantasy points are so freaking touchdown needy, and you need him to have a touchdown. That's kind of a terrifying week to week start. I think I would trust him more in matchups, especially teams that are terrible with pass defense. He'll have a better matchup there. Now, granted, Mac Jones is going to throw the ball. Belichick's not stupid. He's got a bunch of running backs to bail him out, but primarily it's looked like they want to run the ball or pass the ball. I'm sorry. So I wouldn't count out a receiver in New England, but it's been a hard couple weeks to determine who the big guy is going to be. And
he spreads it around.
Huh?
He spreads it around. That's what the Patriots do. There's not one guy on that offense that it's, it's not like it's a Devonta Smith situation with the Eagles when it's literally their only receiver, or you know what I mean. It's guys that just can do a little bit of everything, but the game plan isn't sold to one guy. So he's very boomer bust. I picked him up probably about 5 weeks ago. Had him on my bench for a few weeks. Didn't really do much. Got rid of him. So that kind of guy. So
let's continue the Patriots love for a minute. Hunter Henry is also on here. He's sitting at tight end 4.
Crazy.
He is a massive touchdown machine. He had 19.70 points against Cleveland. That was better than Hawkinson. Joke. But at least we know he's going to get the ball his way, which is my problem with Hawkinson right now. So Hunter Henry, I'd start him, honestly. There's no reason not to, unless you have Travis Kelce. Then by all means keep Travis Kelce. Or if you have Mark Andrews, keep Mark Andrews. But Hunter Henry is good. I would run with Hunter Henry and be fine with it. Let's go number 3 here and go with Mac Jones too. He had 25.92 against Cleveland. It was just a feast day for the Patriots. He's averaging 16.32. Granted, that's not explosive, but you have to factor in he had a couple games where he was still trying to figure out the league, figure out the pace, figure out the game plan, all that stuff. Ever since then, I'd say week 4, he really started to turn on, and then he hasn't really turned it off since. He's not going to be a QB1 in 1 week, but he will be consistent points. And Kyle and I may disagree with this, and I know a lot of Twitter analysts disagree with this, but I think consistency is the essence of fantasy football. If you find someone that is incredibly consistent, they are better than somebody that's extremely boom or bust. Even if that boom is 41 points, I don't care. I'd rather take the consistency. So that being said, look at Hunter Henry, Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne. I would list as my third option out of those 3 players. You can't get those 2, pick up Kendrick Bourne and then just kind of play around with them on your bench. But I mean, what do you think about the Patriots? They're actually fantasy relevant.
Yeah, I'm starting Mac Jones and Hunter Henry in the same on the same team in your league this week. So we'll come back next week and see if it paid off or didn't. So.
Yeah. And the last one, Jamal Agnew. Well, what? I don't I don't get it. Are they trying to copy Atlanta and have like a Corderell-esque like player? Like I don't.
I think Urban Meyer is just desperate at this point to get anything. Agnew was kind of a corner safety kind of returner kind of guy for a while, and now he's playing offense on Jacksonville. It's just weird. They have Laviska Shenault. James Robinson's a little banged up right now, but he's still good. Like guaranteed, even if Travis Etienne was healthy, they'd probably still be doing this with Jamal Agnew. I think Urban Meyer in the offense is desperate for some playmaking ability, even though I think they have some already. So, I don't know what kind of touches he gets per week. I think it's just kind of like random for them, but it could in a quick pinch if you need someone. I'd rather play him maybe than like a guy like I don't know, Jalen Rieger, or something like that. Or I don't know. It just seems like he's a very boomer bust kind of guy.
Depends on how deep your league is, basically.
Yeah.
That being said, that is all of my sleeper seekers for this upcoming week. I'm expecting most of them to not blow up this week, but maybe they will in the future. Again, sleeper seekers is just hard to give you because you're not going to pick up a Michael Pittman off of the waiver wire. You know what I mean? Like, it's just hard. But we'll tell you people to either buy into or sell on with Jock or Joke. I'm going to start it out hot. If you heard me talk and Jock talk yesterday, if you follow our podcast and listen to every show, if you do, you're getting a gold star from me. Send me your email address or your home address, and I'll email you a golden sticker. Seriously. But the first one is Cam Newton, man. Is Cam Newton a jock or a joke? I will say I'm tired of hearing I'm back, so that's my thought. But
yeah, he's a joke. I think. I think he is projected at around 20 this week. Like I'm not going to recommend you picking him up and starting him. Like I think you need to see what they're going to do with him for these couple of weeks. If they're going to run the ball a lot with him, and if they get a good mix in with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, those guys, then maybe. But look at the Patriots when he was with them. It was just very much a running first kind of team, running first quarterback. And at times that got him a lot of points. But then once they couldn't run the ball, well, they had no weapons. So it was just, airmail or a throw in the dirt or incomplete pass. And it wasn't productive. So we'll see what the Panthers do with him. I'm hoping it's a mix. And if it comes to fruition where he runs the ball a little bit and then passes the ball to his decent playmakers, then maybe I'll retract my statement. But for right now, I think he's a joke.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I hate saying this, but Tua Tagovailoa, is he a jock or a joke, man?
Well, I don't think we have this out in the stratosphere at all still, but a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I did say Tua was going to be a bust. And I'm not going to say that right now. Like, I'm not going to say he is for sure a bust because I'm not going to do that. But I'm throwing that out there. He just can't stay on the field. I really thought he could be. If he was healthy, he could be, and a lot of people thought this, he could be a Russell Wilson type of quarterback. But the mobility just isn't there. The durability isn't there. I don't even think the arm talent is quite there right where it needs to be. So if he's healthy, I think he is a good player. But he's just never going to be fantasy relevant, I don't think so. Unfortunately, I'll say joke.
And I think a lot of that rests on he doesn't have an O-line.
No, their O-line is pretty bad.
So he's getting whacked constantly.
Yeah.
I think if he wasn't, I don't think he would have as many injury problems. But I agree. Coming back from the injury that he had at Alabama was like a miracle to begin with. I didn't think he should have gone that high, and especially not to a garbage fire of a team. That being said, I have a dual question for you here. Wayne Gallman and Mike Davis, are they jocks or are they jokes?
Well, considering Mike Davis has about 17 points in his last 4 games, I'm going to go joke. He started off pretty well. I think he played the Eagles the first game. Yeah, he averaged about like 12 the first 5 games. That's decent. But now that Courtois has become a little bit more active and Wayne Gallman's there, and then the Falcons just can't really do much on offense. They're both jokes, I think. Man, I really hope I have at least one jock in here. I think I do. But yeah,
Why not?
I'm gonna say joke for him as well.
I added a lot of players that I'm seeing being added that I didn't like, so there might be no jocks in here. Next is Robbie Anderson. He finally had a decent game with Cam Newton. But does that make him a jock or a joke?
You know, I'm gonna go jock on this one. Robbie Anderson was pretty darn good in fantasy last year, if we remember. And who was your quarterback? Teddy Bridgewater. So it's funny that Sam Darnold couldn't find him at all. Or maybe it's not funny. Maybe Sam Darnold's just really that bad. But Robbie Anderson is still a deep play threat, like I said before, with like a Marquise Brown type, like kind of boom or bust. So I think Cam Newton's going to give him more chances than Sam Darnold ever did. I think they're going to game plan for him more, especially if, like I said, running the ball becomes more and more of their forte. Then play action, bombs, that could very well help out Robbie Anderson. So I'm going to say jock. I think his fantasy value will rise, especially because they play Washington, Miami, Atlanta, and then New Orleans, surprisingly, is also pretty bad against the pass in fantasy. And Tampa Bay, their whole secondary is out, and they play them twice as well. So if he's on the waiver wire, I'm sure he's not, but if he is, like, maybe it's worth picking him up.
Yeah, I agree with that. Dawson Knox is my next one. And I was confused by his point outage last week because the Bills offense went off last week.
Yeah.
And it felt like he was the only person that didn't benefit from that. So is that an outlier or is he a jock?
I think he's a jock. He was hurt for a few weeks, and if the Jets was his first game back, I'll give him a little bit of a pass. I think you'll start to see him, get back to fantasy relevance here. But if he's on your team, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a for sure start. Like some of those guys that are coming back from injury, like Chris Carson, I think he's soon back, but I'm not going to play him right now because, I want to see if he gets on the field, if he can stay on the field, if they get him a lot of touches. So maybe I'd wait another week on Dawson Knox. But if you're desperate, you could start him. He only got 1 target last week, so that's not great. But.
No. Well, so did Hawkinson. The only difference is Dawson Knox caught his. Last one of this list. He just got cut from the Ravens, which I don't understand why, because we don't have any running backs still. But we cut Le'Veon Bell. I already know what you're going to say, but jock or joke?
Time to retire. That's what I'm going to say. Yep. I think he's done. Had a good career, and then wanted out from the Steelers, and then he got his way, and then he became crap. So
and then he went to the Jets, the Chiefs, then the Ravens. And on the Chiefs, he had the audacity to call Andy Reid a garbage coach. So I thought he was retired when he said that. So the fact that he still played was a miracle. Anyhow, that has been Jock or Joke. Hopefully you are avoiding some of these players or maybe buying into some of these players this week. Let us move on to trade bait. I did running backs. We haven't done running backs for a while, but I feel like running backs are so important for the late half of the season. And I picked 3 guys that either have been injured or are injured currently because sometimes That's the way to make a sell. Sell something, hope they come back by the playoffs, and then they just beat the crap out of teams for you. Let's start with Cordell Patterson. Took an ankle injury that's never good for a running back, first of all. But those ankle injuries only might last like 2 or 3 weeks. Which, if you're going to the playoffs, it'd be nice to have a running back that's kind of been on fire week to week.
Yeah.
Would you trade for Cordell Patterson? And let's just leave it at that. Would you trade for him?
If I had him, I would trade him away. These last few weeks, this whole year really, Cordell Patterson's value has never, ever, ever been higher, and I don't think it'll reach that again. Like he's had such a good fantasy year and a very unique year for the Falcons that like they could game plan him next year into the offense, but like, will they? I don't know. I mean, they got Kyle Pitts in year 2. Ridley will be back. I'm sure they're gonna have some high picks with probably a receiver thrown in there. Hopefully, another running back. You know what I mean? So like
Our quarterback.
a new quarterback. So if you're in a keeper league, if you do trades with draft picks, I would consider trading away Cordell Patterson, see if you can get something good for next year. You know, I think so because, like, again, I don't think his stock will ever be higher than what it has been. So.
Yeah, that's true. Here's another one for you, just because of the success of Darrell Williams. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's projected to come back this week, but it's not a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
Are we trading for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or are we trading him away?
Trade for him, I think. I think this is one of those buy low kind of candidates. The Chiefs desperately need a running game, and Williams has been decent for them, but I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just better, especially out of the backfield too. Even though he did moss a dude last week, but I think the Chiefs O-line from this offseason, they got a lot of good pieces there. It's just they never have gelled yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, as week goes week by week by week, they're going to get a little bit better. And especially if Pat Mahomes' arm comes alive and that offense, comes to what we know them to be. I think Helaire will just go right back in, probably get like 15 carries a game for 70 yards and like 5 catches for 20 yards and maybe a touchdown, which will put his total around like 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty consistent for him. So if you can get a good deal on him, I would trade for him.
Yep. Yeah. Here's the next one. I have him. It's not why I'm asking, but because I've heard a lot of trade rumors of people trying to get him. I'm trying to trade him, and we're trying to figure out what his value is now. He was hurt for a long time, but Christian McCaffrey has come back and killed it because, the Panthers literally don't have anything else. Are you worried about him getting hurt again?
Yeah, I would trade away Christian McCaffrey. I just can't really trust him anymore. Like this year, if I had the first overall pick, McCaffrey was there, I probably would have, debated on taking him. Like I probably would have, but next year, if he's projected first round and I have picks, 1 through, I don't know, probably even any first round pick, I'd be like, no, I just can't trust him. So I would trade him away. 1, Panthers are just in a flux of who the heck is their quarterback going to be for the future. Number 2, their O-line's kind of shoddy. Number 3, he can't stay on the field. So
no, he's turning into Todd Gurley.
Yeah. So I would trade him away if possible.
Sweet. I got one more for you, and I forgot to write it, and it popped in my head while we were sitting here. Chris Carson. Are we trading for Chris Carson or trading Chris Carson away?
I would trade for him. I think it's another like Clyde Edwards-Helaire kind of thing. I have him on IR in my league, so I'm just waiting for him to come back because he's always, when I've had him, he's always just been consistent. He's never the type of guy to put up 40 a game, even 30 a game, but he's always getting the ball, always getting touches, and getting sometimes a couple touchdowns, sometimes 1 touchdown. But like he puts up touchdowns, he puts up points every week. It's a shame he got hurt. Next year I don't even know if Russell Wilson will be on the team, so his value might, keep getting lower. But the last few years, I've loved Chris Carson. I'm a big Chris Carson fan for fantasy. So maybe he can help you at the end of this year. I would trade for him.
Yeah. That is our trade bait for this week. Let's scooch on over to Nightmare on Jock Street. Kyle, I'm not going to pull the punches today. I've usually been a little soft on teams in Nightmare. However, the Falcons' whole entire offense sucked Sunday. They didn't play too great. Sucked. Could not put up any points against the Cowboys. Any of them. Single. At all. This includes Pitts. This includes whatever receiver it is now. This includes Patterson, Davis, Gallman, Ryan, everybody. Everybody is on fire. Like you're sitting in the hot seat. Am I going to wake up from this at all? That was atrocious. I started Matt Ryan as like a desperation play.
Yeah, I saw that.
6-2 points.
I feel bad for you.
6-2. He cost me my entire game. Like, even if Hawkinson had 0, if he at least had like 15, I would have survived. But he got nothing. Am I waking up from this nightmare, man?
I don't think so. The Falcons are horrendous. Josh Rosen saw some time. If Josh Rosen steps on the field for your team, like you're done. That's really, really bad. Yeah, Kyle Pitts, I think he's going to be a stud for a long time, but that's literally the only guy they have. It's really sad to see. They really need an influx of talent, starting at the quarterback position, running back. They could use another receiver, O-line, a defense, like everything besides tight end. Arthur Smith has his work cut out for him. And look at the Titans where they are without Arthur Smith. They're just fine. So maybe he won't be anything.
Maybe. I had a thought while I was sitting here. Josh Rosen is just the LiAngelo Ball of the NFL.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like nobody wants.
Remember what he said when he was drafted? He was drafted like number 11. He's like, all these guys in front of me are gonna.
There were 10 mistakes ahead of me.
10 mistakes. Nope. I mean, he can do what I can't do. I'm not like calling the guy crap or lazy or anything, but like it's just funny,
Yeah, it was funny.
He's a bust.
Yeah,
really, really bad. Yep. He was even compared to Tom Brady a little bit coming out. And I want to find whoever did that because that's just.
Ouch. I don't like that.
Nope, that's bad.
While he's looking for that, we are going to move on to Wheel of Fantasy. I can't keep this up while he does it because it messes up the screen. But just so you know where we're heading next. Yeah, Josh Rosen is just so bad. Yeah, no, but okay. Yeah, I picked up Matt Ryan because Justin Fields was on a bye, and I'm like, well, I need to pick up a quarterback. And the week that I let go of Matt Ryan for Fields was the week that he did really well. So I'm like, well, I'll just pick Matt Ryan back up and go with it. That was
I thought that was a good play, especially against the Cowboys.
I've had the worst luck this season in fantasy football, legitimately. Like, I have never felt more unlucky than I have this year.
Yeah, your team is good, but
something happens every week. So at this point, hey, here's some advice for you. If you're not going to make the playoffs, try some fire sales, get some draft picks, work on your team for next year.
Yeah.
It won't hurt anything. Even if you trade like your 7th for someone else's 5th, that's still amazing value. Even if you're giving up like a Mark Andrews or a Travis Kelce or whatever, unless you're in a keeper league and you're not going to keep them, sell them. I mean, heck, that's where I am with Devontae Adams. Like, I'll sell him and buy. Okay,
so after he got drafted, you're right. He said there's like 9-10 picks ahead of me. It's all a mistake. Then they asked him about his career goals. So this is what he said. So I want to be the winningest quarterback in NFL history. I want to win the most games, the most championships. I'd say 6 titles. But if Tom Brady gets 6, I'll say 7. So.
Do you think he remembers that and that his teammates remember that every time he walks into practice?
I don't know. He had confidence, but I don't think it was confidence. I think it was arrogance. So, it's fun though because there's at least like one or two quarterbacks every year that I'm like that come out that I'm like, okay, who's the next Johnny Manziel? Okay, who's the next Josh Rosen? Who's the next EJ Manuel? Because there's
Here's a
so
quick
many.
question before we start Wheel of Fantasy. How do we feel about Baker Mayfield as the Browns quarterback? Is he the answer?
No, like he's not going to be a stud ever. I think he could take them to a championship game. I really do. Assuming the running backs are healthy, that he's healthy, and they can get another receiver out there because literally all they have is Jarvis Landry, and he's a slot receiver. He's on the downslope of his career. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's a big play threat, but he's not consistent. If they can all get healthy, I think that is a good recipe for a winning team, for a good offense. But is he worth $160 million over 5 years? No.
The Browns trade for Kenny Galladay this offseason. You heard it here first.
Wouldn't be the worst idea. Or Allen Robinson, that would be a good idea.
That would be great if you can get him without like giving up the hen house.
Well, the Bears are pretty stupid, so they might be able to do that.
That's entirely true. All right, let's do Wheel of Fantasy. Oh, who won last week? Probably you.
I did by like 4 or 5 points. I was off by, I think.
That's not bad.
But yeah.
I overshot a lot of players last week, so I kind of figured that might burn me. All right. Hang on. It's not showing up quite yet. There we go. We got it. I'm going to pull up the app so I can see who's playing who.
Okay. All right, Dallas Goddard. If he plays this week, hope he does.
Gross.
Dallas Goddard. Who does he play this week? The Eagles play the Saints. Okay. If he does play, I'm going to say 12.
I'll give him 8.
Okay.
He's not been good the past couple weeks.
No, he is a good tight end. I fully believe that, but they just don't really look his way as often as they need to. So,
well, and he's not quite as threatening as Ertz was, so I get it.
He's not the route runner that Ertz was, but I do believe he could be better with more targets. But they're just not there yet as an offense.
Tomato.
Yeah. Oops. He's done. He's out. I forgot to get rid of him. We'll try it again. Actually, we'll call that AJ Dillon.
Who do they play? Dillon plays Minnesota. I'm gonna stick with 15 points.
Okay, I'm gonna go 18. And then we have Travis Kelce.
Again, I gotta see who's playing.
I'm gonna go a solid 20 on Kelce.
Oh, against the Cowboys though? I don't know. I'll give Kelce 18. Let's play it safe.
Okay. Well, that'll be a good game. Oh boy.
I'm excited for that game.
See how my boy Micah Parsons does against him. That'll be a tough matchup. Okay. So JT. Jonathan Taylor, my boy, my first love. No, just kidding.
They play the Bills.
Oh, that is a tough matchup for him.
I'll give him 16. I'll give him like right close to his projection, but I don't see a whole ton more than that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 17 on that.
That's a bad matchup. That's a real bad matchup.
Yeah. I remember when we talked about him versus I forget who was the other guy, but I remember we were doing the draft. We were calling each other, and I had Jonathan Taylor versus someone else, and I went back and forth on who to pick. I picked JT.
I think David Montgomery, come to think of it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad I picked Jonathan Taylor.
Because I was like, dude, take Jonathan Taylor.
He's the number one running back in fantasy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good. Zeke or Dak? Okay.
We just talked about who they play. The Chiefs. What's his projected? Let's have a look. 24. Listen, they're gonna throw a whole lot against that freaking porous defense. Oh my god, they're ranked 31st against quarterbacks. I will give Dak Prescott a solid 31 points.
I was gonna go 29. Yeah, I think he's gonna get a lot.
Yep.
All right, let's see if we can get some receivers here to round it in.
Carson this week. Pain.
Good. We got a receiver.
AJ.
Justin.
They play Green Bay. What is his projected? 17. Oof, that's painful. You know what? Cook has not been all that this season. They've had a hard time running. He did post a lot of points against the Clippers. Oh, Clippers. Ha ha. Chargers. Sorry. Against the Chargers.
I'm going to go 16.
I'll go 21. I'll go the opposite way.
Okay. We'll pick one more and then round it out. Give us a receiver. All right, AJ Brown to round it out.
Yuck. Oh, Houston? Ooh, oof. How is Houston against wide receivers?
I'm going to go 22.
Ooh, I don't know. They struggled against the Saints. He only had 3 points. Ouch. What's your projected, sir? 16. They give up 36 to receivers. 18. 18 sounds fine. 18 sounds fine. I don't feel like I'm undercutting or I don't feel like I'm giving him too much.
All right. And yeah, we'll stop there and tally it up and see who wins.
Sweet. I like it. All right, everybody, that has been another episode of Armchair GMs. Message us with questions, complaints, trade offers, literally anything on the table. We are starting to get really close to playoff time, and those little moves right before playoffs are incredibly important. So let us know, shoot us a message, or just come see us next Wednesday at 5. Bye, guys.